Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. We are back to today's session of Visual JForex with a new indicator. Last time I explained to you the simple strategy which we developed using the stochastic. I will also give you a refresher on that. We will also see how it has performed so far once we developed and started running it in the remote run on JForex platform because our endeavor is to design and develop the simple algorithms which we can then use it in the live environment. In today's session, I will explain to you the idea behind the SMA, how it works, a brief overview of its uses, and then we will also look at the kind of system which we can design while keeping it simple and at the same time trying to ensure that it is profitable. So let us now head to the JForex platform. Is the Euro USD chart with each candle period defined at hourly. Is the stochastic indicator which I had plotted last time around. And to add range, we had put in place this min max indicator also. Prior to removing this indicator, let me, I think I changed its stop loss. Uh, yes, it should be as per predefined levels. Alright, I'm putting it back, which I had mistakenly changed. Now, here we have this system in place which executes trades using the stop loss of 25 pips and the take profit of 49 pips. Since we developed it in the third week of August, it has executed three trades. This was first, which ended in the loss of 25 pips. Then second was in the profit, which brought in 50 pips. And after that, we have this trade open, which which is having the open price of 1.107 with the target coming in at 1.102 and stop loss at 1.1095. It will be interesting to see how things shape up moving forward. Of course, we can't be predicting the things with 100% surety. What we can do is design a system which is fair, which has underlying logic, which is sound, and the risk reward ratio, which is favorable. So, on all those criterions, this strategy of using stochastic in overbought and oversold scenario seems to be working well with these min max indicators, helping us determine the trend and go with the trend. Now let me remove this as we are starting off fresh. Remove this indicator. Okay, there's we can hide as well. And somewhere here we will have the options. Chart list. Alright, we have now this in blank. Simple moving average, as the name suggests, is a simple indicator. Let me plot it first. SMA, here it comes. This is a moving average, and why it is called moving average, because it changes with each new candle taking shape. As the average price shifts, its output value also shifts. If we have the average price of the underlying instrument which is declining, then we get these downward sloping moving average, simple moving average, and it is called simple because it takes into account simply the sum of given period of average price and then divide it by the number of periods. So that's how we get these SMA, simple moving average. If you consider the SMA of the Euro USD with each candle period defined at hourly, it has been downward sloping for a while now since the week of the last week of last month. We have this downward slope in the Euro USD is moving average with it finding some support closer to the 1.105 price range have. We are seeing it flattening and try to regain the lost ground, but it will be interesting to see if there is turnaround in the Euro USD portion or if this downward sloping continues for a while. As with the uses of the Euro USD and these SME, I would say it can come handy while taking the trade. There are multiple interpretations, there are numerous ways in which you can put the SMA to use for any underlying instrument. This is Euro USD, but you can use it equally conveniently for any underlying instrument of your choice, whether it is a forex currency, whether it is a commodity, whether it is a index, or for that matter, stock. It is going to be equally helpful. It is easy to understand and easy to execute. Now, coming to its possible use cases algorithm, but one of the simplest is to simply see how the SME you can get a good idea, fairly reliable idea of how things are for the underlying instrument. If you see that the average price of the underlying instrument is inching up, that means SME is rising, which is indicating bullishness in the underlying instrument, and if the SMA is downward sloping, that means the underlying instrument is in bearish trend and it is better to go and short it, adopt a sell on rally approach or any appropriate work well in the bearish conditions. If the conditions are reverse, if it is on rise, then buying on dips or similar approach can be employed. But then there is also the possibility of underlying instrument not really going anywhere. It is going to simply move in a limited equally flat SMA also. It is not going to move much. It won't be sloping sharply. It will have very flattish structure. But in that kind of scenario, we will find it quite difficult to trade with the SMA because if there is no well-defined trend, then how you are going to determine whether to go for a long trade or whether to go for a short sell trade. So that kind of difficulty can also arise. So we have to keep in mind the shortcomings in this case. We saw that the SMA is not going to be much helpful if the underlying instrument is going sideways. If there is no strong trend in that kind of context, it will generate many false signals if you simply simply rely on the slope of the SMA. So this is one factor which you will have to keep in mind while designing the system, which is also needed to be simple to build, simple to understand, and simple to execute. So this adds one complexity to the system which we are trying to design. Now, how you will mitigate it, that's a fairly interesting question. You can write to me with your feedback and we can try to incorporate your suggestions as we build this algorithm using the SMA. There are multiple ways, and one of the way which I feel is going to be helpful is to consider the range, consider how things are moving up, whether it is making higher high and higher low, or whether it is making lower lows and lower highs, or if its range is narrowing. That happens when you see that its highs are lower than the prior highs and its lows are higher than the prior lows. You see gradual contraction of the range. That is also a possibility. Another possibility is that its range might be expanding. You might have the situation where there is a decline in the recent highs, but the recent lows are newer lows, and that signals expansion on the lower side. It can happen on both the sides, or it can happen on the high side only. So there are multiple permutations and combinations in these scenario as well. Now, you would also like to know what kind of candle period with what kind of average period to be utilized for designing a system with the SMA. I feel that is a fairly interesting question, but it's quite difficult to answer. It is needed to be incorporated in the system. So we have multiple ways in which we can design the system and have those combinations tested in the JForex platform. For the SMA, as I said, there are some challenges when we are using it with comparative slope, whether it is downward sloping or upward sloping. Sometimes it will change direction, sometimes there will be sharp move. Against the trend, the underlying instrument might see significant volatility, so that is going to make it difficult for the SMA to be a helpful marker, to be a helpful guide. But my belief is if you keep in mind its shortcomings, you can design the system which is quite resilient. For the SMA, we can add the range. You can use the indicators like Bollinger Bands, or for that matter, even the Longkin channel or min-max can be utilized to see how things are shaping up over the given time horizon, whether the range is expanding or whether the range is narrowing. That can also be ascertained with the use of different indicators, which we can then combine with the SMA. So that's going to make our life easier. For the strategy of the SMA, I would say adding min-max is going to be quite helpful. Let me add min-max. So with these, we have the range, we have the understanding of recent high and recent low, and also at the same time whether the highs are ever on the higher side or highs are getting lower. That is also helpful for defining the underlying instrument. So with these, we get the range, we get to see if I think there is a disconnection with the internet. All right, we have this internet connectivity. Let me wait. There is a disruption with the internet connectivity, I think. But now I feel we're also nearing the end of the session with these SMA. I have explained to you for the introduction of the SMA and its possible uses for the development and deployment of the algorithm. So I will be back tomorrow with the continuation of the work